Reveal exactly what the ignition source was.
Tonight, mop-up operations have just ended, but for investigators, their work has just begun. What caused the deadly chemical fire at the port of Tampa this afternoon? Newswatch 8's Mark Strassman has just returned from the scene and joins us from our newsroom with the latest. Mark?
Well, Gail, what we now know is that a pair of brothers were sandblasting the tank this afternoon just before the explosion. Joe Russo of Orlando was on the roof of the GATX tank. His brother Anthony was on the ground. And in just an instant, an explosion that leveled the tank also cost Joe Russo his life. Tampa's towers framed the portrait of smoky, deadly trouble at Hooker's Point. An explosion literally blew the lid off this 35,000-gallon tanker, filled with isopropyl alcohol, burning at better than 1,500 degrees. Witness T.H. Lee.
Exactly 4 o'clock p.m., I heard a big bang, you know.
We had a workman from a contracting company that was sandblasting on the tank. Some type of ignition took place.
Would you prefer that the tank had been empty?
If I were the one working on it, I would probably prefer that.
Until 4 o'clock this afternoon, that tank looked like its twin brother. And this isn't the first time that firefighters have been out here. This area is filled with volatile chemicals and potential problems.
You're going to have to jump the fence. There's a red button on that black box on the left there.
Also at Hooker's Point, this explosion killed another workman at Citgo's petroleum terminal. And at the time, frightened Barbara Sanambia, who lives near the tank farm.
If it had happened and, you know, it just, all the fumes went over the area, what would happen to us?
Again today, another reminder of this area's potentially deadly harvest.
It's not an ordinary neighborhood. It's a tank farm. It's a safe environment, except when you have an explosion or a fire. But for the millions and millions of gallons of product, all types of product that come through this port, I would not say it's a trouble spot, no.
That one shot of that subcompact car crushed by the tank's roof that flew 50 yards or so ought to suggest how powerful the explosion was. The sandblaster on the roof really never had a chance. And as one police officer told me, this accident could have become an Armageddon. The flying roof fell short by just a few feet of missing a number of nearby tanks filled with thousands of gallons of volatile chemicals.
Well, you know, Mark, I understand, however, that the lid on this tank really did exactly what it was designed to do.
Well, now that's right. Those tanks are built with a lid that comes off if the pressure below builds to a bubbling point that basically gets to be too great. Essentially, it's a release, so the explosion is not as bad as it otherwise could have been. And when you saw that shot of that lid and how far it flew, you realize that, those firefighters really earned their pay today.
They certainly do.
The tank explodes, a worker is killed, and the fire rages out of control for 3 hours.
From Channel 10, WTSP, this is News Center 10 with Tampa Bay's award-winning news team.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linda Hushin. Cheryl Brown has the night off.
And good morning, too. I am John Wilson. An industrial explosion, ripped through the port of Tampa today, leaving one man dead, and investigators are still searching for the cause. The victim is a 27-year-old construction worker from Orlando, identified as Joe Russo. The blast and chemical fire that followed kept firefighters busy for more than 2 hours. The accident happened about 4 this afternoon at the GATX chemical storage field on Hooker Point. And as David Clue reports tonight, firefighters say they were lucky only one chemical tank was involved.
It was like tossing a match into a gas can the size of a house, said one firefighter. The explosion pitched this 2-ton steel roof 50 yards into an adjacent building, leaving behind a pool of fire burning at 1,000 degrees. Witnesses say a man was sandblasting the top of the tank when the 35,000 gallons of isopropyl alcohol went up.
The contract laborer was sandblasting the tank.
Would normal sandblasting create the kind of friction that could ignite alcohol in a tank like this?
No.
Foam trucks were called in from both MacDill Air Force Base and Tampa International Airport. No one knows yet what might have caused the explosion. The potential for this kind of disaster is always great in an area packed with tanks of flammable material.
Static electricity, electrical shock, sparks, open flames, just about anything.
And this is not the first time emergency crews have been called to GATX. Last May, some 33,000 gallons of phosphoric acid spilled into Tampa Bay, causing a major fish kill. Yet investigators here say such accidents are just part of doing this kind of business.
Yes, we've been out in the port before, perhaps to this company, but this company moves millions of gallons of product every day and does so safely, and will continue to do so.
For hours after the fire was brought under control, firefighters kept a heavy coat of foam on the remains to prevent a flare-up. It could take several days before fire investigators know just exactly what caused this blast. They're just glad the dozen or so other tanks in this area didn't decide to join in before they got it out. In Tampa, David Clue, News Center 10.
The explosion is being investigated by both the police and Tampa fire departments, and firefighters will stay there throughout the night to keep watching the situation and find out what caused it.
4 people.
15 hours. Engine 4 to aerial 4. Engine 4 to aerial 4. Aerial 4, bye. Hey, we're going to set up your ladder and use this foam truck to use your ladder to shoot this foam through.
You got some cold water? Watch the towel. Yeah. Go in there.
Rescue 8. Rescue 8, clear frequency, please. Signal 1. Thank you, 60, 17 hours. Staging to command. Go ahead, staging.
301 and 401. This is at the very end, right? Okay. And this one here, that's like, that's wrong. 202 is one mark. There's a product in there. This is what this is all the way to
go ahead and apply it at the highest rate. Go ahead and apply it at 6%. QSL, assume it's alcohol. QSL.
Command to
With serious impingement at this time, we have what appears to be fire outside of the tank area.
Engine 1 back. With engine 1, we'll probably start some coming off of engine 4 here in a minute. Power available.
Next to the south, with a variety of hazardous chemicals, we have health hazards of 3 and 2, probabilities of 3 and 2. We need to start getting cooling operations now.
Repeat again, what time? Number what?
10 guns.
Rescue 1, command. 210, Seagull, we need to shut down this whole area here. QSL, command to control. Yeah, Go 10, Seagull, we need to get some power shut down on this whole section. QSL? QSL, also be advised we've got a call from Martran volunteering to Seagoing Tugs if you need any vessels moved out of the area. Well, if we have any within the vicinity, and I can't tell from on that other side, you might dispatch a chief and a helicopter to give me an aerial view. QSL? Engine 4 to command. Control to Chief 4, frequency 2, 1622 hours. Chief 6 to command. Chief 6 to command. Go ahead, Chief 6, this is command. Chief, I've been all all the way around this complex. You have one tank that's completely destroyed. The contents are in the dike area. If you haven't called a crash truck yet, I'd suggest we send one this way, at least right now, in case we need it for backup.
USL, thank you, Chief. Command to control.
Command.
Get TIA, have them dispatch one of their crash units.
USL 63. Cooling sector to command.
Command to Chief 6.
Cooling sector to command. USL.
Command to all units on the fire ground. Be advised, operations sector has been established. Chief 6 is now operations. USL, Aerial 4.
Aerial 4, bye.
Chief 6, operations, go ahead.
I have two pumpers down here right now. I feel like I've still got some water left in both. Right now, I'd like to get a portable deck gun over here and get it on our main exposure. You better tell if you can find one. Right now, neither one of your heavy streams are doing anything. That's correct. We need a portable deck monitor to bring over here close to the involved tank. Engine port operations. Operations, go ahead. Chief, be advised.
USL. South sector to operations.
Operations, go ahead.
Operations, this is South sector. What we have here is one tank that was obviously the one that ruptured. We have heavy flame contact on the tank directly next to it. There's one tank behind it starting to show signs of heat. As soon as we can get those deck guns, it's probably the only thing we're going to be able to do at this time from this side.
USL.
Command to staging. Staging, Bob.
You're not doing anything. USL.
Command to staging. You need them.
USL, wait and send them down.
QSL, where is your location, Chief?
As soon as they pass engine 4, we'll be on the left-hand side.
QSL.
This is staging. Out around Station 6, we weren't dispatched.
QSL.
Engine 1 to engine 4 portable. 4 portable. Station 5. Go to 2 a second. Rescue 4 to operation. Operations, go ahead.
We have another green top hydrant here about 100 yards from the one you laid from on the east side of the railroad tracks, directly to the east of these tanks that are involved.
Control to GATX command.
GATX command.
GATX command. Public safety one would like to know if there's going to be any evacuation of that area.
That's negative. Command to control.
Go ahead, command.
I don't read an engine in staging. I need to have at least... Send me an engine company to the command post, face to face. USL. Command to operations. Operations, go ahead. Advisor here at the command post tells me that there's a way in from the back side through a loading rack. Are you going to need anything else from the south side?
Command, we've got a way in, but it's blocked by 5-inch hose. My guess is the crash truck's going to be about the only thing that can come over with any ease.
Operations, this is all the way back around, way to the south.
Engine 1. Hey, go ahead and charge this 1-inch and 3/4 phone line you got. Let's get it in operation. Get it out. Crash 4 to command. Operations to engine 1. operations to engine 1. Engine 1. Engine 1, go ahead and charge these 2 lines going to the deck gun. Chief, not hooked up yet. Go ahead, Aerial 9, this is command. I've talked to the Coast Guard down here, and they say it'll be approximately an hour before they can get any kind of boat here that would have any pumping capacity. And I'm assuming staging at this time. Aerial 9 is. Driver Engineer Fisher's coming in with his company. QSL, well, tell them to get, you say about an hour? That's affirmative. Command operations. Command, Chief 11. He's acting Chief 11. Command to Bill Wade. Command to Wade. Water sector. Training 5, go ahead, sir. Training 5, what is your, how you making it coming around there to give me some water on backside? We're just south of you now. We are following the gentleman's direction to get into the entranceway. This guy here is taking Ian around. Engine 3 operations.
Operations, go ahead. How we doing on foam supply? Do we need to start looking for some backup foam supply? Negative, if we can use foam form. Operations to command. Command by. Is there somebody down here with something to drink? Gatorade or something?
Control to crash 2, crash 2. Return back to the station.
Command VO. On those exposure tanks, they can get a monitor down there. Command to engine 10. QSL, we're going to send a monitor around to you, an unmanned monitor. QSL. QSL. Operations to command. QSL. Out there for an alternate water source. Coast Guard boat has 550 GPM. I don't know what the private tug is. QSL Chief, it looks like we got plenty of water. What we can't seem to get is the right location for the foam. QSL, we're probably better off if we can use that off of foam 4. It's probably a better mixture for that product. That's what we're trying to do now. Engineer Command. Can we get this aerial up, cool some steel with this water off this aerial? As soon as they get this valve hooked up. QSL, thank you. Aerial port operations. Operations, go ahead. You want
foam forward and start filling up these 5-gallon containers for handline operations. Engine 7 operation. Operations, go ahead. Chief, the adjacent building here is free of any extension. QSL.
Control to training 1. Training 1.
GATX command to control.
Operations to PIO.
Operations to command.
How about moving in with a small line and put out any smoldering fires you've got there in that grassy area?
Chief.
Operations.
They are referring all comments. I've already been down this package. They're referring all comments. Home office in Florida. Rover 3112. George Loman, 62165. George Loman, 6621.
Command back.
I want to believe that's Texas, but I'm not sure. I would think Houston, but I'm not sure.
Command to control.
I don't have the track record of serious type of violation. It's a company that has a varied amount of chemicals. I guess it's
From what you can tell, initial review of this one, anything that shouldn't have been the way it was?
I can't see anything that's not a normal operation. It's within the dike area as it's supposed to be, within the containers as they're supposed to be. The housekeeping appears to be good. Of course, the investigation will reveal exactly what the ignition source was, and we've had some speculation that there was some sandblasting going on, but I don't know that that would cause an ignition in this type of product.
Should the sandblasting be going on when the tank is full?
That's a question that will have to be answered by our investigators and also by the management of the company.
Gut feeling?
Off the top of my head, I would say I didn't see any big problem with sandblasting on a thick steel container, removing paint from the outside with product inside. But I'm not that knowledgeable as to the interior codes that would have to be in place for such action.
Would you prefer the tank to be empty?
If I were the one working on it, I would probably prefer that, but that was not my judgment to make. Sure.